Welcome to CSUB Antelope Valley AV Advising How-To Guides. In this tutorial video, I'm going to go over the transition the university is making from academic outlines to the My Academic Requirements page available to students on your MyCSUB student account. So to get into your My Academic Requirements page, you're going to have to go to your CSUB student portal. Under Academics, you're going to select the Academic Requirements menu from the drop-down menu in there, and then you're going to click on the little double arrow circle there. When you are reviewing your degree audit report or your My Academic Requirements page, and you're going to find out those terms are used interchangeably, either will be referring to this same thing. But when you look at that, you're going to see these little icons that tell you whether a particular requirement has been met, and those would be the ones with the green circle and the check mark. Whether a requirement is in progress, which is the yellow diamond, or whether a requirement is needed, which is the red square. Now, some of you might have this purple triangle that means the requirement has been met through a substitution or a waiver. This usually happens for students who come in with a GE certification. And so when the courses were directly transferred one-to-one, they didn't meet a particular requirement, so it had to be manually adjusted to match the GE certification, and that's where you get the purple triangle. Nevertheless, it still means the same thing as the requirement is met icon. So just in case you see the triangle instead of the green check mark, it still means you're good to go, so not a problem. Now, coursework in progress, this only applies to courses at CSUB. So if you're transferring in or you took a class at the community college and it's currently in progress, we may have transcripts on it, but until the final grade is posted, you're not going to see that class in your My Academic Requirements page. If you have your advising appointment, I'll make a note. This class is in progress so that we're both aware of it. But officially it won't show up here until it's already been met. So let's go to your MyCSUB student portal so I can show you how this works. Okay, so when you get to the csub.edu page, remember to click on the little hamburger symbol here and go into MyCSUB. Log in with your NetID and password. And once you're in your MyCSUB account, it's under the Academics section, the drop-down menu, you'll select Academic Requirements. Now, I don't have academic requirements, so mine's not going to work. So what I did is I came up with a PDF printout of a student that I'm going to share with you. But in your case, you would click Go, and it will take you to the Academic Requirements page. So when it opens up on your My Academic Requirements page, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a document with your name and your ID number. It's going to have your major, whatever your current major is at CSUB. It's going to have the major and the concentration listed. It's going to have your catalog requirements. It's going to tell you in the graduation status, if it says not applied, it means you haven't earned the minimum amount of units to apply for graduation yet, which is currently 84. Once you have hit the 84 mark, it'll say eligible to apply, and once you have applied for graduation, it's going to say the term that you've applied for graduation. It's going to have your overall GPA listed, and if you've taken any courses at CSUB, it'll say your CSUB GPA right here. If you haven't taken any classes yet, then it's the reason why you don't have one at that point. But as soon as you take classes here and you get a grade for it, then you're going to get that. So here is that degree audit icon legend so that you are reminded once again what the green circle means, requirement is met, what the yellow one means the class is in progress, you're enrolled in it. The red, once again, means the requirement has not been met, and then the purple triangle, that means that the class was met or the requirement was met through a substitution or a waiver. So as you go through, you're going to notice that the unit requirements are the first ones to show up. And so this first square, the red square, is for all requirements for the degree. So this is going to be the last square that you're going to see go until everything in your degree is either in progress or met. So don't worry about this one being red for most of the time that you're here. It's going to start with your 120 units for the degree. Now this unit tally currently is not the best to track your requirements for two reasons. One, it doesn't currently have the limit of the 70 from the community college, which can throw off your overall units. So I'm currently doing the unit tallies manually. If and when you have an advising appointment, you're going to see this little note from me. I'm going to do your unit and GPA tallies at the end when I can account for maximum units transfer either from a community college or any other institution. So currently I tend to shrink this before I share the paperwork with you, but if it throws you off, you know why. It is not only not capping the transfer units, it is also counting units that you're currently enrolled in this semester, as opposed to not counting them until the grades have been posted. And so always check your unit tallies with me if and when we have an advising appointment. It also has your upper division units. This one is most likely to be accurate because not everybody comes in with transfer coursework, but do notice it's already saying these units are taken even though they are in progress for the spring 2021 term. The good news is it's letting you know what you're going to need after these units have been completed. It keeps track of your residency units and then your GPAs, both your overall and your CSUB GPA. It starts with your general education requirements as far as courses are concerned. And for all of you, because you're all CSUB AV students, you should not have the first year seminar as a required course. It should be met because it is not required for transfer students. If there is a class that it's showing as missing, for example, in this case, it says Area A1, Oral Communication, it says it's needed, but you have the class in progress, let's say this semester for fall 2020. I usually put a little note on there just to, again, make you aware and make myself aware that the class is in progress, that we are aware the class is in progress. So I'm letting you know so that you don't take a class from this section. If it's not a class that you have in progress, but it's a class that you took previously, and the system is for some reason not recognizing that you met a particular requirement, we would need to submit a substitution, which is not a very hard process to do. We just correct or request that they correct your transcript records or your My Academic Requirements page so that it shows the green check mark instead of the red square over here. So if and when you schedule an appointment, those substitutions will be submitted by then to correct your academic requirements page. If you notice something is showing as unmet but you believe you've met it, let me know if for some reason I didn't notice it and didn't submit a substitution prior to your advising appointment, and I'll be happy to submit it thereafter. As you can see, this student has taken most of their lower division GEs. They're already showing as met. Some classes, this student is already enrolled in them for the spring 2021 semester. So if that is the case, it's going to have the yellow diamond in it, and it's letting you know, it's confirming this requirement will be met if and when you get a passing grade for this particular class that you're enrolled in. For areas that you're not either enrolled in already or have in progress already, it'll let you know how many courses you need to take. For example, for your upper division B, your science requirement, it says select one course from the course list. So it tells you there only one is needed, and it gives you the full list of the classes that will fulfill that requirement. Now notice every time they give you a list of classes, they only show 10 results. And the reason they do that is otherwise this requirements page would be way too long. So they cap it to 10, but you can click on view all to see the entire list. In this case, it says it's showing 1 of 10 out of 11. So there's only one that is not showing up over here. Another thing that is very useful from the academic requirements page is each of these classes have a live link to the course description. So you do not have to look for that GE list that we used to print for students. We still provide it to you in case you need it, but you have the full list within the requirements, and you have the full descriptions within the requirements as well. For the upper division C section, for example, this one says there is 36 choices available, and again, it'll list all of those. You only need one from this section, so you don't have to take more than one, and as soon as you're enrolled in one of the requirements, it's going to turn into that yellow triangle. So for those of you who had been enrolled at CSUB Fall 20 or prior to Fall 20, when we had to manually update your academic outlines or worksheets, that is no longer the case. The system is a live document, and it updates itself as soon as you enroll in a class or as soon as you get a grade in a particular class. The graduation writing assessment, it tells you that you can do the course or the exam, because both are listed here. Some students do get confused as to whether they need to take them both. You do not. So I normally tell students, and I put it in here for you to remember, I always put you only need either a course or an exam. If you take and pass the exam, then you don't need to take the course. If you take and pass the course, you don't need to take the exam. For the capstone requirement, most of you have this in your major. So if your major includes your capstone requirement, you don't need to take another capstone class here. This is only for students who do not have a capstone included in their major. So to remind you, I usually put that in there when I'm doing your academic advising paperwork. Remember, it double counts with your major. Don't take an additional class for the capstone requirement. And then it moves on to your major requirements. So similar to the overall degree requirements, the major requirements are going to have their own icon. So this one will remain red until everything in the major is either met or in progress. And the icons mean the same thing. Check marks mean met, red squares mean needed, yellow diamonds mean in progress. It will tell you how many courses are needed overall. So for example, this one says there's 7 courses needed, and then within the sections of the major, it'll tell you how many are required within those sections. So these 5, for example, are not in addition to this 7. This 7 is the overall, and then this particular section, there is 5 that are needed. In this particular section, there is 4 that are needed, and so on. When you need to complete everything within a particular list, it'll say complete all courses in the list section, and it'll keep track of how many you still need to do. When you have options, it'll say select one from that section, and you will keep track of how many you need and what your options are. And that's basically how it explains all your major requirements from them. After the major requirements, there's usually a last section that says courses not used. We still don't understand this section because some of these are courses we are using. For example, the speech requirement, remember how it was on top? It is an A1 GE requirement. It is currently in progress from a community college. They usually use the RD grade, which means report delay, but it simply means we don't have a final grade for it yet. But we know that this class will be used towards your degree. So don't think that just because it's under courses not used that it's a useless class. I really don't know why they put them in here. When I do your paperwork, I usually shrink this because it just creates more questions than are needed. As usual, I would include a unit tally at the bottom. I do this just to help you figure out how many units you still need towards graduation. So if you're not familiar with my grids, I'm going to paste one over here. This is what my little grids look like. And it just goes over your overall units, how many you transferred with, how many you've earned here at CSUB, how many you have in progress, if any, and how many you need towards your degree. If what you need towards the degree is less than what you need units wise, then you'll have university electives listed here. If it's more, you will not need electives, and I will let you know that at that point. I also keep track of your upper division units so that we make sure that you will meet all minimum units towards graduation and don't have to worry about having to take or not taking enough units for your degree. And that's it for the academic requirements page. I hope that you found these tutorial useful. For those of you who, again, attended fall 2020 and before, we are making a slow transition into the academic requirements page. So I am updating this with students as they make appointments. For those of you incoming for spring 2021, you've all been given only my academic requirements printout so that you'll be able to use it moving forward. So that we're going to make the transition as smooth as possible. We're not going to just jump you right in. We're hoping by the time that we are done fixing any substitutions or waivers that are needed, that this will be a very useful tool for you to keep track of your academic requirements for graduation. And as always, you can always make an appointment to meet with me or one of your faculty advisors to go over your requirements if there's anything in here that is unclear or that it's confusing you about what you have left. Thank you so much and have a great day.